Everything you were taught about needing others to finish you is a lie, and that lie is the reason you keep losing. You know that hollow moment at 2 a.m. when the room is quiet and your thoughts get loud? You replay conversations, you scroll the feeds, you measure your worth by who answered your message, who liked your photo, who showed up when it mattered, and when they don't, you feel broken. You tell yourself, if only I had someone else to blame, if only someone else had been stronger, kinder, smarter, then I wouldn't be here, unraveling. You started a project alone. You took a risk alone. You loved someone alone. You walked through the valley of failure alone, and each time you came back with cuts, bruises, and a new story. I was betrayed. I was abandoned. I didn't have the right support. Those are true facts. People left. But the truth that matters, the truth that changes everything, is what you do with that fact. Do you let it define you, or do you use it to sharpen yourself? The problem is not that you were alone. The problem is you let being alone become your identity. You confuse solitude with weakness and solitude with lack. You measure victory by how many people were with you, not by whether you stood when everyone left. Stoicism offers one simple, brutal reorientation: make self-sufficiency the skill, not the escape. The Stoics called it autokeia, inner sufficiency. It doesn't mean you never build alliances, never love, never accept help. It means your center of gravity is inside you. Your peace, purpose, discipline, they do not depend on applause, presence, or validation from others. When you lose alone, the world sees the loss. When you win alone, the world sees the result. But in between, in the quiet of your practice, in the daily small actions, you build an internal fortress. That fortress is what prevents the next loss from breaking you. The Stoic shift is simple. Make your identity your work and your character, not your circumstances or the people around you. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that. You imagine failure as a final verdict, but often it's the rehearsal room for a better performance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line is not just philosophy, it is a prescription. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them. Zeno reminded us that virtue is the only good. Musonius Rufus urged action. A man who has been resolute to live rightly will be strong in adversity. Hear them not as distant citations, but as tools. When your chest tightens because someone left, open the toolbox. Name the emotion. Examine the belief fueling it, and choose a response anchored in your principles. That's the Stoic method. It's an internal technology for endurance. Here's a daily habit that builds winning alone. Wake up and do the thing you promised yourself yesterday. Not because someone will notice, not because you'll post it, not because it will get applause, because it trains you to be reliable to one person, yourself. Write for 20 minutes. Lift for 20 minutes. Read for 20 minutes. The next day, do it again. The next day, add discomfort. A cold shower, a hard conversation, a small refusal that protects your limits. The victories that matter are granular and private. They are the small commitments kept when no one watched. They form a ledger that, over time, becomes proof to you that you are the type of person who finishes what he starts. This ledger is what people eventually respond to, not because they owe you, but because consistent character attracts the right currents. You lost alone, yes, but loss is not a moral verdict. It is data. Data about what worked, what failed, and what you can control. The Stoics were hard on this. Distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. The only thing in your absolute control is your judgment and your action. So when you tally the damage, do it like a surgeon, with clarity, without theatrics, and with a plan. Ask yourself, what part of this loss was my responsibility? What part was outside my control? What small piece can I change now? The answer is almost always something you can do. Change a routine, speak differently, set a boundary, stop waiting for someone to rescue your momentum, start rescuing it yourself. Winning alone is not about ego or proving people wrong. That's empty. Winning alone is about being faithful to a standard you set that is higher than convenience. It's about refusing to transfer your dignity to someone else's hands. When you anchor your discipline in meaning, not in recognition, your victories are permanent. They become parts of your soul. Imagine a young man who built a small workshop in the corner of his apartment. He taught himself the craft by watching old videos. For years, friends joked that he was wasting time. He failed a dozen orders. He cried alone in the dark, but he kept the light on. A year later, no one remembered the nights. They only saw the furniture he made. They asked, "How did you do it?" He could have said 100 reasons he almost quit. Instead, he told them one: "I showed up." Or think of the woman who loved with a kind of reckless optimism. She offered her whole heart and was left with the shards. She could have let bitterness become her identity. Instead, she learned to sit with the pain, to rehearse boundaries, and to create an inner life that did not need constant reciprocation to feel abundant. When someone worthy came into her life later, she wasn't looking to be completed. She was looking to be shared with. These aren't stories of being antisocial. They're stories of people who refuse to let others be the architects of their fate. Here's how to practice the Stoic switch when you feel abandoned. Step 1. Name the raw feeling. Call it grief, anger, loneliness. Don't dramatize it. Label it. Naming shrinks the storm. Step 2. Question the narrative. You think, "I'm unlovable," or "I will never succeed." Ask, is this objectively true? What evidence supports it? What evidence contradicts it? You will find that most catastrophic beliefs are hasty generalizations. Step 3. Choose one corrective action, not 8. 1. Call one person who knows your work and can give honest feedback. Ship the one thing you've been delaying. Wake up and do one act that honors your future self. Step 4. Repeat the small practice until it becomes a habit. The Stoics call this training of the soul. You might ask, what's wrong with needing people? Nothing, until your peace depends on them. The moment you need someone to fix you, you've given them control over your emotions. They don't even have to hurt you to break you. They just have to leave. That's why Stoicism teaches self-reliance first. So when you love or trust someone, you do it by choice, not out of fear of being alone. Stoicism doesn't ask you to burn bridges. It asks you to stop building houses on borrowed land. Build your foundation. Invite people into what you have, not into what you need them to be. Here is the paradox. The more self-sufficient you are, the richer your connections become. When you no longer use others for your own validation, your relationships are free to be real. People who are whole are magnetic, not needy. They love because love is a surplus, not because it fills a deficit. Musonius Rufus said something like, "A good man is social in purpose, solitary in his self-sufficiency." Cleanthes taught that discipline of soul is devotion. There is honor in walking alone when you must, and greater honor and joy in choosing to walk beside someone when you do not need them to sustain you. You will be tempted by shortcuts, sympathy that substitutes for work, quick fixes that mask the rot. Don't. The Stoics are contemptuous of theatrical virtue. Real virtue is invisible and boring. It's waking up on a grey Tuesday and doing what matters. That long, unglamorous repetition is how you win alone. Think in seasons. Some seasons are for rebuilding. Some seasons are for love and festival. Some seasons are for quiet repairs. If you measure your life by the highlights, you will live for applause. If you measure your life by the standards you can keep when no one's watching, you will build something durable. Resentment is a slow poison. It convinces you that your solitude is someone else's crime and binds you to their past action. The antidote is gratitude and focus. Be grateful for the lessons. Focus on the work. The Stoics were clear. Pardon is not for the other person. It's for your freedom. Before bed, write 3 things you did today that honored your standard. Not the big wins, the small ones. Did you keep a promise to yourself? Did you refuse a distraction? Did you speak the truth? These entries are your evidence. Over months, the list becomes undeniable proof of growth. If you miss a day, don't dramatize it. Note it. Learn. Return tomorrow. Stoicism is generous with second chances for those who continue. Here's a simple test. Imagine the person you will become in 5 years if you keep surrendering your center to others. Now imagine the person you will become in 5 years if you keep the daily disciplines, if you honor yourself quietly, if you learn to accept solitude as training ground rather than punishment. Which future makes you stand taller? Choose the one you owe to yourself. You started alone. You lost alone. That truth is real, and it will teach you what any teacher could not. But remember this: losing alone taught you how to stand without applause. Standing without applause prepares you to win without needing anyone to make it real. So become someone who can be trusted in the dark, and one day the light will follow. Because victory that depends on you is the only victory that lasts. Control your mind, or your mind will control you.